To be a chosen one is to understand that your life carries a unique weight that others might never truly grasp. You have likely felt it for a long time, that shift in the atmosphere when you walk into a room, or the way your energy seems to move things that others don't even notice. This isn't just a feeling, it is a reality of your spiritual design. Because your presence is so impactful, the things that are harmless for the average person can actually become quite dangerous for you. You are not living a random life, and because you walk with a specific calling, you are being observed more closely than you realize. The enemy does not usually approach a chosen one with a loud, crashing entrance. Instead, he is patient, watching your habits, your moments of kindness, and your natural compassion. He looks for a tiny opening, a subtle gesture that appears innocent, generous, or even loving on the surface. Through that small, unnoticed door, he attempts to step into your life and disrupt your peace. This is exactly why today's message is so vital for your journey. You are about to discover 3 specific things you should never lend to anyone, not out of selfishness, but because protection is part of your assignment. One of these items is ignored by almost everyone, even those who consider themselves spiritually awake, and that is why it causes so much silent damage. I want you to stay fully present right now, because this understanding can close doors you didn't even know were standing wide open. If you feel this message speaking directly to your soul, take a brief moment to press like as a sign of alignment. If you haven't yet, subscribe to stay connected to this stream of revelation. Comment 99 below to declare that what drains you ends today and what protects you begins now. The first thing you must never lend, no matter how normal society makes it seem, is your pillow. At first glance, this might sound almost silly or too small to matter, but that is exactly why it is a successful entry point. The most dangerous threats are rarely labeled as such. Your pillow is not merely a place to rest your head. It is a silent container that witnesses you when your defenses are completely down. When you sleep, your body shuts off and your spirit loosens its grip on the physical world, making that object a repository for your inner life. Every single night, your pillow absorbs the rhythm of your breath, the unraveling of your deepest thoughts, and the worries you process before sleep takes over. It holds the weight of the prayers you never say out loud, and the tears you might wipe away in the dark. Sleep is not a neutral state, it is a spiritual passage. When your conscious control fades, your inner world becomes more accessible. This is why clarity or warnings often come through dreams. Because your pillow sits at the intersection of your mind and spirit, it becomes a sponge for your personal imprint. When you allow someone else to place their head where you sleep, you aren't just sharing a piece of fabric. You are allowing their unresolved thoughts, their emotional residue, and their spiritual state to overlap with yours. The danger isn't always a dark attack. Sometimes it is simply a heaviness or a restlessness that you inherit. You might notice a subtle disruption days later. Mental fog, strange dreams, or a sense that your peace has been diluted. As a chosen one, your sensitivity makes these interferences feel much more intense than they would for others. Many chosen ones experience this pattern without ever connecting the dots. Perhaps you hosted a guest or traveled and switched sleeping arrangements, only to find that your nights suddenly felt different. Your sleep might become lighter, or your thoughts might start looping without any logical reason. Because the human mind craves logic, you probably blamed work stress or exhaustion. However, spiritual interference rarely announces itself. It prefers to blend into the background of your daily life. True protection isn't always about a big fight. Sometimes it is just about keeping the door closed. The second thing you should never lend is anything connected to your faith. This is where the line between the visible and invisible worlds becomes dangerously thin. While most people see prayer beads, journals, or sacred objects as mere symbols or traditions, for you, these items are operational. They are instruments that actively participate in your spiritual life. Every time you pray or meditate, your words and intentions impress themselves into what you hold. Over time, these objects become charged with your personal alignment, and the faith you have exercised under great pressure. When you lend a sacred object, you are lending access to your spiritual language. Intentions matter more than actions, and someone can appear kind on the outside while operating from a place of jealousy or ego. Sacred things do not neutralize a wrong intention. Instead, they often amplify whatever touches them. If someone else uses what carries your faith, they imprinting it with their own emotional state and unresolved conflicts. When that object returns to you, the connection may feel interrupted, or the peace that once came easily might now require a massive effort to achieve. Many chosen ones blame themselves when this happens, thinking they have lost their way or that their faith has weakened. In reality, the shift didn't start within you. It entered through something you thought was harmless to share. The sacred requires stewardship, and not everyone who asks for access is meant to receive it. This isn't about judging others, it's about spiritual order. The most dangerous form of contamination is mixture, a little bit of belief mixed with someone else's doubt or resentment. Dull tools are dangerous because you don't notice the damage until you truly need them. The third thing that most people ignore or underestimate is clothing that touches your body regularly. This is particularly dangerous because it feels so mundane. Society treats clothes as replaceable and meaningless, but your body is a vessel that carries your spiritual signature. Anything in constant contact with your skin learns that signature over time. Your clothes adapt to you, absorbing your posture, your emotional cycles, and your inner weather. Especially the items you wear during times of prayer, stress, or vulnerability. Those fabrics become witnesses to your very essence. When you lend these items, you are allowing an overlap of energy fields. Your spiritual atmosphere meets someone else's, and their emotional state presses against the fabric that carries yours. This exchange doesn't just cancel out, it layers. This is why you might feel a sudden heaviness or a sadness that doesn't belong to any current event in your life. Because your system is tuned to pick up on fluctuations, your body often reacts to these foreign energies before your logic can catch up. You feel the off energy before you can even name what it is. Clothes act as conductors that transfer energy without filtering it. When someone wears what has been close to you, their suppressed emotions interact with your own stored imprints. When the item is returned, it comes back altered and misaligned. This is enough to create static in your life, interfering with your clarity. The effect is often delayed, which is why the pattern goes unnoticed for so long. However, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. There is no separation between what touches your body and what touches your spiritual field. You might wonder why others can lend these things and feel nothing while you notice shifts immediately. This often leads chosen ones to doubt themselves, thinking they are being too sensitive. But the truth is that you are simply perceiving more. You operate on a different frequency, and a finely tuned receiver picks up signals that others walk past every day. This is not a flaw in your character. It is a function of your calling. The enemy knows that drama and chaos don't work on you anymore, so the strategy becomes quiet and strategic. Interference often hides behind social norms and the expectation that you should always be available and nice. You might assume that boundaries are only for obvious threats, but for a chosen one, the most significant intrusions are the ones that slip in through routine. You feel tired or disconnected before anything visibly breaks in your world. Others can brush these things off because their systems aren't designed to process such layered information, but yours is. You carry a deep awareness even in moments when you wish you could just turn it off. Being targeted in these subtle ways doesn't mean you are weak. It actually means you are relevant. No one spends time studying something that doesn't matter. The enemy prefers subtlety because confrontation would only alert you to the danger. By appealing to your compassion and your desire to do good, the strategy attempts to bypass your defenses. Generosity without discernment is a recipe for exhaustion. This message isn't meant to make you fearful, as fear collapses your perception. Instead, awareness is meant to sharpen your ability to guard your heart. There is a massive difference between being available and being exposed. Many chosen ones confuse the two because they were taught that love means giving everyone unlimited access. But true love includes protection, especially the protection of the assignment God has placed on your life. Your clarity and peace are not luxuries. They are requirements for the path you are walking. When your alignment is disrupted, your entire life feels heavier and noisier. This is why even the smallest doors must be guarded with intentionality. Understanding why you are affected is only the first step. The real change happens when you realize that discernment is not selfishness. Many chosen ones have lost years of peace because they felt guilty about setting boundaries. You aren't called to isolate yourself or build walls out of bitterness. That only weakens you. Your calling is to walk the narrow line between being a person of great generosity and being a person of great wisdom. Helping someone is not the same as surrendering the keys to your inner sanctuary. When you give without using your discernment, you don't actually become more loving, you become fragmented. You might feel like parts of you are missing or that you've been diluted over time. This happened in all those moments where you gave away what should have been guarded just because you didn't want to seem difficult. Wisdom understands that sacred things lose their power when they are treated as common. You can support others without opening your inner gates to their chaos. Protecting your energy is a responsibility tied to your higher calling. The moment you stop explaining your boundaries to people who don't understand them, your yes begins to gain real weight. Your presence becomes stronger because it is no longer scattered across a dozen different people's problems. Not everyone will like this new version of you, but those who are meant to walk alongside you will respect your boundaries instinctively. Discernment simplifies your life by removing confusion and shortening your recovery time. It keeps your inner world coherent so that you can hear the voice of guidance clearly. Every time you guard what matters, you send a signal to the spiritual realm that you are a faithful steward of what has been entrusted to you. That declaration changes how the atmosphere responds to you. It changes what is allowed to stay in your life and what must leave. You are stepping into a posture of authority that protects you from loss and prepares you for the next level of your journey. What is a simple object for someone else is a spiritual bridge for you because of your openness. As we conclude this message, hear this clearly: your peace is not accidental. You are not called to be harder or colder, but you are called to be sharper and more aligned. Discernment is now a permanent part of your movement. Not everything should be shared, and not everyone earns the right to access what sustains you. This isn't a withdrawal from the world, it is an elevation. When you protect your inner world, you don't shrink, you stabilize. And in the spiritual realm, stability is where true power resides. If you are still here, it is because you recognize the truth in these words. You've noticed the patterns, even if you couldn't name them until now. God has been protecting you quietly, even when you left the doors open too long. This awareness isn't coming to you late, it is arriving right on time. Today is about taking back your authority to choose what enters your space. You are chosen to be conscious, not careless. Now that you are aware, everything in your life is about to shift for the better. If you feel this truth in your spirit, I want you to comment the phrase, "I guard what is sacred." Write it as a seal and a declaration in the unseen world. Share this with someone you know who is struggling with their own sensitivity. Remember, chosen ones don't usually lose their power all at once. They leak it slowly when they forget its value. That ends for you today. Walk with clarity, guard your peace, and stay awake to the beauty of your calling. Would you like me to help you create a daily prayer of protection to help reinforce these boundaries?